And I was instantly very happy when she mentioned to me that I would like you to be part of this event to help out aspiring freelancers, or maybe some of you are already doing some side gigs as a freelancers. So I started as a virtual assistant in 2009. It was a very low rate job because I don't have any experience at all. The only thing I know back then was how to operate a computer, how to speak in English, and use my charm. So I met someone who introduced me to working remotely. And as a mom back then with two young kids, I was like, this is the perfect job for me. So, long story short, I got trained as a project manager, as an SEO slash project manager, search engine optimization slash project manager by a client who is an Australian client. So he was kind of like the first client who mentored me, like thoroughly, using different tools, learning how to have a conversation, have a meeting, be organized, and all of those things. So that opportunity opened a lot of doors of opportunities for me. So until 2009, fast forward to 2015, my clients from the UK, Australia, US dried up. So I was already a single mom then. And so I was renting an apartment. I was sending my two kids to private schools. I'm like, I cannot live like this, earning $20 a week. How am I going to feed my kids? How am I going to send my kids to school? How am I going to pay my rent? So I got hired by by a Filipino who's based in California, and they were transitioning to moving their family to here in the Philippines, and they started a physical office here. It's a digital marketing agency. So all of the clients are in the US, and I got hired as a project manager. So it was a good experience, but it's going to be, me traveling, leaving my kids at home and travel like 2 hours a day each way. From Laguna to Alabang, I was traveling. Before it was Laguna to Santa Rosa, so Santa Rosa, Laguna. So it was a very short travel, and then to Alabang because they transferred their office. It was very tiring. It was exhausting because project manager, I was handling like 14 clients. I was managing 6 teams, and then I'm a single mom. I would commute. So it was very exhausting until such a time wherein I was venting out to my fiance, who's my business partner now. And he said, why don't you start your own digital marketing agency? I was like, I don't have any experience. And he opened my eyes to the reality that I was already doing this for years since 2009. Project management is my strongest skill. And then being a project manager and I became the head of project management slash operations manager in the digital marketing agency in Alabang. I was kind of like trained on how to operate an agency. So 2016, I started Great Work Online, a project management and digital marketing agency, and we are hiring Filipinos, freelancers. I would like to come to a point wherein I can hire Filipinos, 100% Filipinos. As of right now, we've got some foreign freelancers, but basically it was just I started the company Great Work Online because I wanted to help. Aside from I don't want to commute anymore and I want to have more time with my kids, with my family, I also wanted to help Filipinos because when I was doing freelancing, I was getting a lot of messages and saying, how can I do freelancing? I am also a single mom. How can I transition from doing an office job to just working from home? So I was like, I'm gonna start my own business with the help of David. And just hire freelancers from the Philippines and give them jobs. So that is like my advocate. Um, my advocacy. I would like to help Filipinos get jobs online so that they can spend more time with their family. So that is my long short history of
Yes.
freelancing to starting my own business.
Thank you so much for that, Pam. It's like I think it's really valuable your contribution, of course. For I know you've employed many freelancers, or work with many Filipino freelancers, and your input in the topic is really critical because you've done the negotiation part from an employer's side, right? Now I'm gonna hand it over to Rowena, and this is also really interesting for you guys because she's from the recruitment side of things, and she's usually the one that gives you the offer, and this, or at least her team, somebody from her team will be doing the negotiation with you. So Rowena, you can go ahead and please take the floor and do your introduction. Give us a little bit of, your background and what you do, and a little bit about yourself. Okay, I think I need to unmute Rowena. There we go.
That's the most often used paragraph these days or sentence. You're on.
You're on mute.
I should wear that. I want a T-shirt. It says "You're on mute."
Exactly.
That sell. That is a business idea. My name is Rowena Florece. I was invited to this by referred to this by one of my colleagues in Microsoft Philippines to June, and then today I met Pam, and I'm meeting all of you. I was very interested when I saw the email from them. I was like, oh, definitely, given the audience that we have, given the intent and the purpose of today, regardless of time zone, I was like, we're going to do this. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to meet all of you. I'll just give you a little bit of background of myself today. Today, I'm the HR lead for Microsoft Canada in enterprise, commercial, public, several other organizations within Microsoft, different businesses. Before that, I had been with Microsoft for 10 years now. Before that, I was with Microsoft Malaysia. But before Microsoft Malaysia, I studied I grew up in the Bicol region in a school called the Gupit Elementary School. It's a public school. My father was in the military, so it was through his pension that I got through it was a public school, so it was actually free. I even think we had Nutribunds that day. But it was through, anyway, so I went there, and then I went to Santo Domingo Institute, which is in Camarines Sur as well. And then I went to the University of the Philippines in Baguio. In Baguio, I had to spend some money. So it was through my father's military pension that I got the scholarship. UP obviously has lower tuition fees, but I still had to spend something. So it was through a scholarship that I got through that. And I think it was through that formative years of knowing that education is key to the opportunities ahead. I realized at that point in time that it's also knowing when to knock on opportunity that got into my head. And that's when I started to go into the workforce as well. I started my work in the sales, and then in import-export operations. And then I was, I think, moving between general management and human resources management. And right now, I think for the past 20 years, don't date me, okay? For the past 20 to 25 years, I had been in the human resources, and today I'm leading the HR for Microsoft. So very happy to be here. And I think June is going to ask us some questions to facilitate our session today. And I think we're going to have Q&A later on. Nice meeting all of you.
Yes, amazing. So as you can tell, like years of experience dealing with negotiations right here, ladies and gentlemen. So we are in very good hands, right? And so yes, so the beginning of the hour, we'll go through some questions, and then these are like the most asked questions from the previous groups that we've handled. And I think these questions are the questions that needs to be addressed, and then we'll open up the Q&A for the rest of the group afterwards, right? So the very first question would be, most recruiters ask for our previous salary or rate. Should we discuss that during the interview process, like when you're going through the pipeline, the recruitment pipeline, the question about salaries they always ask that, or the topic always comes up. Like how do we answer that, and should we disclose our previous salary?
You gotta go ahead, Pam.
Okay, when we are hiring freelancers, I sometimes would ask how much is the rate from their previous clients, and sometimes I would just stick to what their asking rate is. But I think the reason why some employers would ask how much was your rate from your previous clients is because they want to know the value that you can contribute to their business, to their company. And don't hesitate to tell them. So let's say, for example, when I would interview candidates, I will review their resumes, and their asking rate would be sometimes 15 or $10 per hour. And then I will see that they are applying for a position that they don't have any experience with. So I'm like, you are asking this X amount, but you don't have an experience. So it's a matter of how you're gonna justify the rate that you're asking, and how are you gonna explain why you're asking $5 from your previous client and now you're asking me $10. So it could be discussing the responsibilities, the duties and responsibilities that you were doing from the previous client. So these are the things that I was doing with them. One, two, three, four, five. And this is based from my skills and experience. The workload will be $5 per hour or maybe even lower. But because the job offer that I am applying for right now is composed of 1 to 20 items of workload, then this is what I think is um, reasonable for me or justifiable for the work, right? So that's why I am asking for, let's say, $8 or $10 per hour. So it really depends on how you communicate to whoever is interviewing you. But do not hesitate to to discuss your previous rate and why. And I am asking this much higher now and why. So I believe in the transparency in the beginning, because your employer will see through that in the interview itself. In the first impression, the employer will see that if you are telling lies, if you are just inventing stories, or if you are telling the truth. So just be transparent.
Right.
I'll add to what Pam said. Pam mentioned it's the way you communicate it, right? And I totally agree. So three things that you need to remember about this particular question from June. First thing is that the person opposite you is running a business, right? Which means they have a budget. But as a business person, that person has a minimum and has a maximum. So understand that's what's in their mind. They're running a business. They need to make it operational. They have to make it sustainable, right? So understand where they are coming from. However, as you on the other side of the table, if the way it is asked, uh, the way it's asked of you will tell you something, right? Is it because the other person wants to know in order to make a decision? Or is the person going to eliminate you or accept you on the basis of price? Make that assessment right there and then as you're sitting on the table. If the person in front of you, if you sense, you have that, right? We all have decades of experience talking to people. each one of you, right? You know exactly where the other person is coming from, more or less. Directionally, you would have a sense of that. If you sense that the other person is asking that question because that person is going to make a decision depending on the price, that's probably not the company you would want to work for. Okay. But if you sense that the other person is asking the question because they need to be able to make a decision, pros and cons, they're running a business, you have to answer it. You can also answer even if you sense that otherwise, but uh, in your mind you're probably thinking like, let's see. Okay, I'll say what my current rate is, but let's see, I'm starting not to like you anymore as a company, right? In your mind. But if you want to help the employer, the recruiter want to be able to make a decision in favor of you, you have to say exactly how much you're making in a year. Try to aggregate it in a year. Don't say like I'm earning $2,000 a month. No, I'm earning 24. 2000 times, sorry, I don't even have my math. 2000 times 12 months. Okay. So what, and that allowances and all that. Before you go into the interview, you should already have worked it out. Like what's the gross amount? What's the 13-month pay? I know that in Manila, we have 13-month pay. And then probably you have allowances, you have commission, aggregate it all, right? And then, so it's a fact. Do not lie. Do not lie when it comes to previous salary, because number one, you don't feel good anyway, right? To be lying. So say it, but the art of communication, the way you answer it, the way you say it should be this way. I am earning $24,000 a month in my current or previous company. However, I want you to understand that these are the things that I can bring to your organization. In the advertisement that I've seen and in the previous interviews that I've had with your team members, I can sense that you're looking for someone who can think ahead and be able to, who has that, whatever the attributes are that they're looking for, who can think ahead, or who has that extra, what do you call this, extra drive to learn every single day. So you sort of pivot the answer towards what you can offer, and at the same time say as a fact what you were earning last year on an aggregate annual basis. Now, I said three things, right? So the first one is that, the second one is answer the way you communicate it, and then the third one actually is that know that that number is can be verified later on through your taxes, through whatever previous pay slips and all that. Just don't play with, don't don't lie when it comes to previous salary. Sorry, go ahead.
Exactly. Yeah. Just, I mean, just be honest. And I love that you mentioned that the businesses, normally already has a budget. Like even before the job posting was posted anywhere online, in our heads, it has been decided by the board. It was decided by a group of people that we need this person and we can afford this much to pay for that person.
It's like when we hire some freelancers to work for a certain task for our clients, the client is paying us this X amount of money. So I know how much budget I'm looking for a certain person to do the task. So if your asking rate is beyond the budget that the client is paying us, and for us to kind of like make profit, then we're gonna, that's one of the guidelines that we are looking for. Are you within the budget? If not, are we willing to pay even more? Because you're gonna give us back even more. So those are the things that we're looking at. And again, just be transparent, just be honest, because we can see that if you're not telling the truth.
Exactly. So it's like it's either the budget, that rate, or that salary amount would either qualify you or eliminate you based on are you within our budget? Like, is it something that we can work together? Because if it's not, then we shouldn't move forward with this candidate, right? So, Lace, thank you so much for that. And the follow-up question is that how do I determine if a job offer is good or bad? Especially because there's a lot of career shifters in here. And so at the moment it would be like, okay, I have 20 years of experience for this particular career, but now I'm shifting. I don't know how much I'm supposed to be paid. Like, how would I know if this is a good offer or if it's a bad offer? Should I just go ahead and take it? Like, is there a way for me to verify that? So, yeah.
Let me go first, Rowena. When I started, I was thinking I don't have any experience, so I cannot really ask for a higher rate. I think I started below $3. I know I said $3, but in my rough computation, I know it was below $3. And I think before you can, apply really and go into an interview process with the employer, you have to have your guidelines as well. You have to have your baseline. So if your budget is you're looking for a job that will be able to pay for your whatever bills you need to pay, or you're really looking at into transitioning completely, I suggest that you don't transition 100%. You have to invest into doing some more hours so that you can ask for, let's say, if you don't have an experience doing remote work, but you've got like 20, 15 years experience working at an office, working remotely is a different environment. You're going to be introduced to different tools that you may never have encountered in the first place in working at an office. So it's like you're going back to zero. Yes, the concept, the experience from working at an office can be contributed to working remotely, but it is a totally different environment. So maybe you can start at a low price, and then as you gather more experience, as you gather more hours, if you are a member of whatever outsourcing platform, then eventually for the next client that you're going to apply for, you can increase your rate. So is it a good or a bad offer? When I was a freelancer, I would negotiate right away, when am I going to do the work? I would right away tell my employer that I do not work on the weekends. So setting the right expectations with the client right away. I don't work on weekends because that's the only time I have for my kids. When am I going to work? If it's a graveyard shift, it's something that I cannot do because I've got two young kids. So if you should already have some guidelines for yourself. These are the things that I can accept and these are the things that I can't. So if the offer is already more on the I cannot accept, even though the rate is good, then do not accept, because you're not going to be able to deliver and you're just going to have a bad reputation from the client, and you don't want any bad reviews if you are in an outsourcing platform. Because if you piss off a client, they're going to give you bad reviews. And the bottom line here is it's like a long distance relationship. It is working remote is based on trust. That is your main foundation. If you cannot build the trust and honesty with the client, you're not gonna get referred to. And maybe we can go back to that topic about you getting referred to because you delivered, you showed up every day, and you performed well to a client. And even though that is the contract has ended, you can guarantee that you can go back to that client and ask for a referral.
Yeah,
It- it-
absolutely. Rowena.
uh, I'll add to what Pam said. Totally agree with what she said. Uh, have a baseline. Have a baseline of the non-negotiables. I call it the non-negotiables in your head. You would know it. Like I can't go below this. So that's the baseline. Dapat alam mo kung ano yun. Monetarily, dapat alam mo kung magkano yan. And then at the same time, have a baseline dun sa sarili mo. the way Pam explained it, and I'll add one more thing, which is, alam mo kung yung offer is good or not, kung nakikita mo na yung values ng company, yung values ng the way you were treated during the interview, the way you were handled, the quality of conversation, makikita mo doon yung values ng company represented by whoever is interviewing you. It could be the HR, it could be the recruitment, or it could be the manager, the hiring manager, or the CEO, right? The way they talk to you, makikita mo yung values nila as a person and as an organization. You know you have a good deal kung A, na-meet mo yung minimum. Above that is obviously delightful and it's something that's joyful, right? Something nice to be at. But I call it yung baseline mo is it means you can drink, you can sleep at night because naabot mo yung baseline mo. Over and above that, it means you can dream good dreams at night, right? Yung values kapag napansin mo kapag napansin mo na yung the way you were treated nagre-resonate sa sarili mong values, take it. Kahit nakuha mo lang yung baseline, take it kasi it means that you are joining a family, you're joining a good company. Imagine 5 days or so in a week, i-devote mo dun sa company, 2 days lang in a week sa sarili mo. So it's really like your family and your home. Kapag hindi aligned yung personal values mo, tsaka yung values na nakikita mo dun sa company through the window of the conversations and interactions that you've had with them, kapag hindi nag-align yon, after a couple of months, hindi ka rin magiging masaya. So, dapat talaga may alignment. And we know naman kapag dating sa values, universal yan eh. The way we were brought up by our own parents is more or less always are the typical corporate values of good companies to join. So just that one.
Yeah. And yeah, those are really amazing points, Liz. And I just want to add, because Rowena, you're working for Microsoft, and I know for a fact like values and culture is like top of the line. It's like the very first thing that you kind of filter people through, right? So it's like, again, I'm gonna reiterate, when you're applying for work and you're searching for these companies, like search for the values first, right? How does this company treat their employees? And you can normally tell that by the reviews by the other employees working for them, and how they communicate in social media, like what are the things that they're advocating for as a company, and what are the reviews of the freelancers that they've been working for in a freelancer's case. So those are really, really good points. And I guess to follow up on that question. So for example, if now you've already received the offer, right? And you were trying to double check if this was a good offer or a bad offer. If it was like lower than your expectations, like how do I know if these people are not lowballing me? So like offering me something like lower than what I'm supposed to. How do I know that, and how do I reply to it? Like, how should I be? Like, most of the people would say like, oh, but this how much you think I'm worth? That's the initial reaction, because they take it personally, right? Because they're not thinking from a business perspective. They are taking it that I evaluated you and this was your worth, right? That's how most people react. So how should they deal with that, and how to reply it like gracefully? Well, let's start with Rowena this time first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Compliant, I'm following the order.
Right.
How to gracefully handle that? I think half of it can already be mitigated with what I said earlier on yung mindset na know na yung kaharap mo meron silang budget, meron silang minimum and maximum. And almost always, if it is below what your expectations are, know that most probably it is really what they can afford, right? Now, personalin mo lang yon kung pag the way they delivered it is in a way that is crass. Like, oh, ito lang sa'yo kasi, you know, the way they delivered this to you, parang, there's no, number one, it's not professional. So you feel, a little bit, what do you call this, insulted because you feel, I'm worth more than that. Bakit ganun lang? But more often than not, again, mindset, know that the person in front of you has a budget to work on. They're running a business, they have to make a profit. They have a client as well that they have to cater for. But the way they deliver that to you is, I think, your decision making uh, factor. Okay, if they delivered it to you in a way that is insulting, balik ka din ulit dun sa thought na yung values. Okay, just don't join the company. Okay, because how they show themselves in front of a new employee that they're trying to attract into their organization is most probably the same way that they are going to treat their employees when you are within the organization. Yeah, so wag nyo personalin yung sagot, but kung lumabas man na ganun, it's actually a gift to you because you are now given the gift of decision, and your decision should be, no thanks, I'm bringing myself to the next company that I'm going to. It's not a company for you.
Yeah.
Kung respectful yung pagsabi.
Exactly. That's like a red flag. That was a sign already that don't join that company,
Okay,
right?
yeah, I was using other
Yeah.
words, red flag, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Pam.
Yeah, I'm gonna share something to you guys. When I resigned from that digital marketing agency in Alabang, wala akong fallback. Yes, I used to be a freelancer pero nag-office work na ako for I think mga 2 years din yata ako doon. So pikit mata ako nag-resign kasi sobra talaga akong pagod. At saka feeling ko I was underpaid with the amount of work na parang hanggang pang next life na. Up to here yung pressure and then yung workload and then I was underpaid. So naisip ko noon, if I'm gonna put all my effort at saka time and passion and dedication to my own business, to my own gig, siguro mas mag-grow siya. So, after I resigned, syempre nag-start na ako mag-apply ulit remotely. So, there's this company in Australia who hired me na parang on my last day sa digital marketing agency na yon. Pero the agreement was I have to parang be on training for 14 days. So because okay, parang I'm gaining back experience again from working 2 years sa office, going back to freelancer. Sige, I'm gonna take this. So yun yung agreement. So I said yes. What I did there was organized her system, helped her with the process. Ni-document ko lahat ng, kumbaga, yung SOPs niya sa standard operating procedures. So basically, parang ginawan ko siya ng handbook, ng system, ng process for free. Pero I know my worth. Pero I took that offer because I needed at that time to go back to freelancing. After 14 days, she's saying na parang there's another task pero it's gonna be parang on training. So, you're gonna have that gut feel na parang, ay, niloloko ko nitong client na to. Naghahanap siya ng kung saan siya makakatipid. And I'm telling you guys, you're gonna stumble upon some clients na mga ganito. Pero, to tell you honestly, when foreign clients would treat me like that before, and siguro may mga experiences kayo na ganyan, para sa akin parang, teka ha, racist yata tong kausap ko. Kasi parang because ba Asian ako, because ba I'm from the Philippines, you think na yung value ng mga freelancers in the Philippines is like this lang. So, after that, alam ko na ni nagtitipid si client. Na she's not gonna hire me as a paid freelancer. So hindi ko na siya inaccept. So you will siguro first thing that you need to establish is yung sarili mo. You need to know your value. It is okay to be on training if you want to gain experience. Pero if it is beyond the agreement na, then that's the time you're gonna say no to that offer. So, one, know your value, know your skills, and know your rate. You need to have that in your head na ito yung rate ko because this is how much I can offer. Ito yung value that I can offer to this company. I can help you succeed your goals. I can help you grow your business. Dapat yun yung mindset mo. And you have to put yourself in the client's shoes and always think na if this is my business, how do I want to run it? How am I gonna treat each task, each projects if this is my business? Kasi if your mindset is like that, tatrabahuhin mo siya ng maayos. So if you have all these things in your head already, magkakaroon ka ng gut feel. You will already madidiscern mo kung yung client na kausap mo is niloloko ka na lang ba or tinitipid ka or ang tingin sa'yo is masyadong mababa. So that's the time na mag-say no ka. Kasi there are so many clients out there and companies who would want to give you an opportunity if nakita nila yung value mo.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, and just to follow up on this because we're like talking about lower rate or bad offers. Like, is it possible for us to negotiate that rate? How do we do that? How do we negotiate our the job offer? How do you negotiate the offer?
So going back to that, you have to know your value. Um, I remember meron akong client sa Australia before. She was asking me sa lower rate na asking ko doon sa platform na yon. So, kinausap ko siya ng maayos, ng masinsinan. Sabi ko, why is it that you are offering me this? I understand that these are the things that I'm gonna do for you, but why is it you're offering me lower than I am asking? So, in-explain naman niya, si budget daw niya, ganito, ganyan, ganyan. So, sinabi ko sa kanya na I am asking this rate not because I am greedy. Talagang upfront ako. Not because I am greedy, but because I have years of experience dito sa project na to. And I can help you grow your business. I can double your profit by doing this and that. And I said, if you don't see the result after a month, then okay, we can go to your rate lower than I am asking. But right now, try me for this month and see how it work out. So, yung client nag-agree and ang ending, hindi kami nag-go back dun sa rate niya. Nag-stick kami dun sa rate ko. So it's really a matter of how you communicate. Don't get intimidated because they're foreigners. You need to know your value. You need to have that confidence when speaking to the client. Kasi if you know your value, if you know that you have the skills and you have the experience to offer and that you're gonna show up every day, you're gonna deliver on time, then baka nga yung asking mo is mababa pa para sa worth mo dapat. So you have to know that.
Yeah. And Rowena, just to before you answer the question, I'm gonna reframe the question a little bit for the employer side. Like, for example, let's throw a position out there like people ops, right? People operations or business development for Microsoft or whichever company, whatever, right? And on an average, the range is about 25 to 45 $1,000 a year, and I was offered the low end. I was offered around, let's just say, the 26 or 27, and I know, or I feel like I should be in the middle of it, or maybe I should be in the top, in the high end of that range. Like, how do you even start that conversation when the offer is given to you?
Am I on mute? No, I'm not. The thing about feeling that I am being offered or that you are being offered at the lower end of the scale is something that I think it's best if you expect it to be that way. So that pag dumating yung ganong situation, you won't have that moment of being taken aback. So dapat meron ka ng winner game, nag-war game na inisip mo bago ka pumunta dun sa meeting. Like, if I get offered this way, these are the things that I'm going to talk about, right? And depending on the situation, so let's just pick up one situation. There's no single answer to this. In addition to what Pam said, which is know your value and then communicate it as clearly as possible. And I really like what Pam said, so I want to double click on that one later on. But when that situation happens, when you feel that you are given the lower end of the range, just put it forward. Well, first acknowledge and gratitude for that 27. Lowest end is 25, and then you're given 27, but the range is 35. Say, hey, you know what? 27 is great. I can probably work with that, but I really want to think about it first. And the reason for that is because, again, it's the art of communication. We don't just say, you shouldn't just say, hey, how come it's 27? I should be about 30s. And why is that? Because then if you're asking that question, you're putting the other person on the defensive already. And then it sort of makes the conversation parang meron ng, parang hindi na maganda yung, hindi na pleasant. Masyado kasi the way we ask is parang what do you call this? You're putting the other person in a situation na parang hindi niya naman pinag-isipan, which is we cannot assume, right? But we still want to know the answer, and we still want the job, and we still want to get to 30 instead of 27. So the way it is best asked is, hey, thank you. Number one, thank you very much for the 27. Acknowledge the 27. Express appreciation for the 27. But hey, you know what? I just want to reiterate that these are the things that I am bringing to the table. I have 10 years of experience. I have a learner's mindset. I know the industry, and a lot of other things that dapat nasulat mo na before you go to the meeting. Parang meron ka ng mental note. What are those at least 3 things that you can mention that you're bringing to the table after you say thank you to 27? But hey, you know what? I'm bringing these attributes of mine to your business. What do you think about 30, 32? I think it's fair. I think that's just the right balance in terms of what I'm bringing to the table, and we can grow together as a company and me as an individual at 32. What do you think about that? So you're asking the person for his point of view versus you're asking the person to explain to you. So the first one is, why am I 27? Is that you're asking the person to explain to you. And quite frankly, they have no business explaining to you, right? Some of them will just say that, bakit pa ako pinapag-explain why I'm deciding 27. The way you ask it is that, hey, what do you think about 32? After nasabi mo yung thank you for the 27, these are the things that I'm bringing to the table. What do you think about 32? So you're now opening this beautiful conversation of negotiation.
Yeah,
right?
I love that. Yeah, it's a discussion.
Right?
Yeah, it's a discussion. Like, you're not putting them in an awkward position, because you asking them like, why are you giving me 27, puts them in a bad light, and there's like negative feelings in there. Like, I don't need to explain that, right? But then if you open up the discussion, you're saying like, can we work with this number, right? And it would be yes or no, and then it's like you're kind of like throwing the ball, towards their court. So I really like that.
Siguro, and also yung right choice of words then yon, kasi siguro minsan when you trigger something because you say something na parang offending, yon parang biglang ang impression na sa'yo nung client, ay arrogant naman to, ayoko na din tong kausap. So yung choice of words din siguro.
Yeah, really
The
good.
choice of words, stick with professional words. And
Yes.
body language, and those kind of things. June, if I
Mhm.
can just have a moment, I want to talk about what Pam said, which I think is very, very beautiful, and I want to double click on that one.
Yes, yes, of course. Mhm.
That something along the lines of nakipag-usap siya ng masinsinan doon sa kliyente, right? And don't and she said something like just because they're just because, actually that's not the right, because they are a foreigner and they come from a different culture, and because they probably speak a different language than our language. Okay. Do not get intimidated by that. Know that it's just normal to have a professional, objective conversation with most cultures that's different from our own, right? Do not, please, do not think that we are a tiny bit lesser than any other culture individual.
Yes.
Do not think that. Do not bring that to the table. Do not have that mindset. And Pam spoke about it so beautifully. She was able to get to the desired endpoint of her negotiation conversation because she dealt with it as a business. She dealt with it as, very objectively and professionally, and she chose her words. Now, and most probably, I would guess she probably didn't bring a mindset of I'm one tier below in terms of my knowledge and my class or whatever. Please,
Alam mo na.
Yeah, yeah.
because I have seen it. And when I interview, when I have conversations with highly trained professionals, highly educated professionals from Asia, when I sense that, I almost like, oh, please don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. Do not do it, because nobody thinks that of us until you show it. Because if that's what we think, that's probably how we are choosing to be treated. And that's not the case. You have very high educational qualifications. You have the most wholesome culture when it comes to diversity, when it comes to our family values, when it comes to how we differentiate between professionalism and we're a cut above the rest. And do not just remove it from your mindset. Don't bring it in any conversation, not just in this conversation but anywhere. I think that's all I wanted to say. uh, it's not just about getting the job, it's about enjoying us for what we are and what our culture is and what our qualifications are and what we're bringing to the table and our knowledge and skill set. Enjoy it. It's ours to bring to the table. It's a gift to every business, I can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if
And
I
then,
may add,
yeah.
June,
Mhm.
foreign clients love Filipino freelancers. Why? Because even though we are competing with India and ano pa ba yung isa, Cambodia yata, because they are low
Colombia
rate
too.
low rate yung offers nila. They love us because one, we speak better English. Two, we walk the extra mile. Sometimes, most of the time, actually, even though it is not in our duties and responsibilities in the scope of work, because we love what we're doing, we care for the company, we care for our clients, we walk the extra mile. We do some extra work for them, even if hindi siya kasama sa trabaho mo. And those are the things that they love so much about us. Kaya don't you feel intimidated. Though I was guilty before when I started kasi wala naman akong kausap na foreigner dito noon when I started. 2009, hindi pa ganun ka big yung outsourcing, yung freelancing. So I remember umiyak pa ako sa employer ko na Amerikano. Kasi yung first client ko, sinisigawan ako. Ang gusto niya when she wants something, I want it now, right now. yun yung culture siguro na nakita ko and natutunan ko right away na when they want something, they want it right now. And if you cannot deliver right now, you have to explain why and when can you deliver. So again, bottom line nun is communication. So nung umiiyak ako sa client ko, sabi ko ayoko na. Kasi parang nadidegrade naman ako, sinisigawan niya ako, ganyan-ganyan. Ganun ako ka-sensitive noon at ganun ko siya tinitake personally before. Kaya yung thinking ko noon, bakit ang tingin ba nila sa atin mga Pilipino, ganito lang, ganito, ganyan, ganyan. Kasi nga, I was new. So this is a very good platform. Thank you, June and Miss Rowena, kasi you are hearing it from us. Si Miss Rowena, nasa abroad. Ako nandito, pero I've been doing this for how many years na. Si June, ganun din. So yung experiences namin is something na sana may makuha kayo. So sabi sa akin nung employer ko na Amerikano, ano, don't take it personally. This is business. She cannot slap you on the face. The fact that she is paying you and you're getting your pay, then that's good. Just do it professionally. Do what she says. If it is not within your hours and it is not within the scope of work, then you come to me and I will talk to her. But just be professional. So, yun yung ginawa ko. Alam nyo, nag-end up kami nung client, friends kami. Dumating pa nga sa point na kasi she's into, parang may mga skincare siya nung time na yun eh. Gusto niya akong, sa sobra siyang natutuwa sa akin, gusto niya akong padalhan nung binibenta niya. Sabi ko, hindi, no na, kasi baka hindi yan makarating dito. Pero the fact na naisip niya yon and I was able to work that out with the client by just simply communicating with her. Kasi she was going through her divorce. So parang lagi siyang mainit ang ulo. Tapos gabi na kami lagi nag-uusap. Nagsa-start ako ng work sa kanya 4 hours in the morning. So late night sa kanya sa California. So may time noon na sinigawan na naman ako. Siyempre natataranta naman ako kasi bago ako noon. Sinabi ko sa kanya in a calm way, I said, Carol, I really feel degraded every time you raise your voice. I have to be honest with you that if you're gonna treat me like this, I might go to Mark, which is yung employer ko, and I might not just work for you anymore. So after that, so calmly ko siyang sinabi. Nag-apologize siya sa akin, and after that, parang we're friends na. Until now, friends kami sa Facebook. Until now, nag-message siya sa akin, how are you, beautiful Pam? Lagi siyang ganon. So, yun lang. Gusto ko lang yun i-share sa inyo.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit to that because I was actually also guilty of it. I started out in the Philippines. I did freelancing in the Philippines. So we had this mindset before. Nobody taught us. There was no webinars and sessions and trainings about remote working before. And so when you start working for international clients, you feel intimidated. You feel like I'm just from the Philippines and this is how much you were paid for. And I started kind of reprogramming my mindset, like my location or my heritage should not be a factor of how good I can be at work, right? It's like when you step into that interview, this is not about my Filipino background anymore. This is about my skills. What can I bring to the table and if I can do the job, right? It doesn't matter if I'm in the Philippines, doesn't matter if I'm in Portugal, doesn't matter if I'm in the US, right? What we're talking about is, can I do the job? Yes or no? Yes, I can do the job. I can do it very well, right? And that's what you need to focus on. So don't belittle yourself. Don't think that and this is a really big thing in remote work at the moment because we're in this really weird transition of that. Should we pay everybody the same regardless of where they are located because they're doing about the same job? And companies are still in debate, like, yes, we should do that, and no, we shouldn't do that because the cost of living and this and this and that. There's a lot of different factors that we need to consider. But you being Filipino should not be like something that would it's not about us being Filipino and in the Philippines that we should be paid lesser, because we are from there or we are there. We're not, we do the job just like anybody else. We should be paid higher or we shouldn't be paid pennies. That's what I'm trying to to communicate. All right, ladies, the time just flew by, and actually, we are a bit over time, and we haven't opened up the session to to anybody for questions. But before we end, though, is it okay if we ask a couple of somebody from the audience to ask questions before we end? I would really like for the students to ask their own questions as well.
Go.
Right. Okay. Good, good, good. All right. Ladies and gentlemen,
Yeah.
who wants to? Okay, Owen is raising his hand. Owen, please go ahead.
Hello, good morning, guys. And
Good
thank you so much
morning.
for this session. It's really fruitful. So many insights. I just have a quick question about, is it okay to discuss or ask about salary increase during the negotiation? I mean, if most of the time, I believe if you are working remotely to a foreign client, they would just like discuss, this would be your rate per hour. But since medyo advanced ako mag-isip, is it okay to like open that up that, let's say, what about in 6 months or in a year? Because of course we wanted to really stick to that company or to that client, but we all know that as year pass by, di ba, everything goes up. So not necessarily that if, let's say, I'll be getting $5 an hour for, let's say, 2 months, and then eventually, di ba, hindi na siya valuable after 6 months or after a year. Is it okay ba, or will I just like park that and then bring that one up when I'm working with that client na?
Yeah, good
Absolutely.
question.
Absolutely, yes. You are not crossing any lines of absolutely. Why wouldn't you, right? You again, it's the way you communicate, the way, or when you say, "Hey, thank you for this," whatever it is that they're offering today. Um, I am planning, or I'm hoping that in the next six. Thank you for this. I'll take it for what it is. I have my point of view is that probably I can work it out for the next 6 months, and probably in the next 6 or 8, I'll probably have a check-in with you uh, for us to open a conversation about a possible adjustment. And I'm hoping that by the time you would have seen the quality of work that I'm bringing into the organization, and hope because I'm going to really work that just the way I am, and you will be able to see that in the next few months. And parang reiterate mo yung value that you're bringing to the conversation, the fact that you're giving in a little bit at X amount, but at the same time, you are saying now in about 6 or 8 months, I would love it if you'd be open to have a check-in, if we could check in and then just have a conversation about potentially evaluating the rate that I am on probably in 6 to 8 months. Know that when you have that kind of conversation, you shouldn't be expecting an answer like, yes, we will have that in 8 months at X amount. That's not what you're going after. What you're going after is to have the conversation that you're bringing in more to the table than what you're currently getting in. That's something that you can mention 8 months later on. Hey, you know what? We had a conversation the time that I joined for a check-in, and I would like to have a check-in on that one. What do you think? It's not you collecting an utang. It's you inviting them. Like, what do you think about my performance the past 8 months? Did I deliver or not? And if they say yes, then I told you about 8 months ago. I was thinking maybe we can do a little bit of an adjustment on that one. In my view, and I'm not sure about the specific industry of digital marketing, digital business. I am not very much into that business, but in my view, professionally, yes, nothing wrong with that.
Right.
Yeah, ako, I'll be speaking siguro in a freelancer point of view and at the same time, an employer perspective. So, unahin natin yung si freelancer. Ako, I wouldn't ask for an increase yet sa during the interview or maybe even after I got hired or during the onboarding process. Bakit? Kasi parang sa industry that I am in, mga foreigners yung clients natin, and we are hiring as even though it is a local entity dito sa Philippines because we are registered here in the Philippines, pero our clients are nasa lahat abroad. I wouldn't as a freelancer because parang mag-open ka ng, we're gonna look at it na parang ang arrogant mo. Wala ka pang napapatunayan. Wala ka pang napapakita na nasi-share if makakapag-contribute ka ba doon sa company. And kung totoo yung mga sinabi mo during the interview that you're gonna do this and that you are capable of doing this, you are an expert on this field, hindi mo pa yon napapakita sa client mo. So as a freelancer, you need to wait. Ako, maghihintay muna ako ng perfect timing wherein nakita ko happy and satisfied si client. Nakita ko na yung na-contribute ko is may nangyari to grow the business ni client. Now, sa employer side, if marinig ko yon sa freelancer na yun nga, hindi ko pa siya natitest, baka magdalawang isip ako if that freelancer will be with our team long term. So I will share with you an example. Um, I was a project manager. I started this X amount per hour. So ang mindset ko nun is, ano ang gagawin ko to help this US client para hindi ako i-let go. Laging ganun yung mindset ko kasi inisip ko, if gumawa ako ng hindi maganda or hindi ako makadeliver, malulost ako sa dami ng competition, pwede akong palitan in an instant. Pwedeng bukas, pag-report ko, ay Pam, sorry, wala ka na, may iba na. So, hindi pwede yon sa akin dahil single mama ko. So, kailangan, ang thinking ko lagi is, ano yung mako-contribute ko sa client? Paano ko siya mapapastay happy and satisfied? So lahat ng pwede kong basahin, lahat ng pwede kong attenda ng mga webinars, para maka-contribute ako at makapag-suggest ako kay client, why don't we do this? Kasi this is the new trend. This is what's in the market. Why don't we try this? I'm gonna help you. I already have the process, blah, blah, blah. When I lay that out to the client, sobrang happy. Ito is an example of how I was able to ask for a raise. So, 1 year yon na puro value, value, add value, deliver on time. Even though may sakit ako, masakit ang ulo ko, ang thinking ko, hindi naman ako magko-commute eh. I-on ko lang naman yung computer sa kwarto, tapos magtatrabaho ako. And then after ko magawa yung task, sige, magpapahinga na ako. So yun, never akong nag-absent, never akong gumawa during my first year ng excuse na hindi ako makaka-attend ng meeting kahit masama pakiramdam ko because nasa bahay lang ako. So yung client was very happy. Nagkaroon siya ng podcast. Before, pinagre-research niya ako, saan ako pwede mag-guest sa podcast. Sabi ko sa kanya, why don't you start your own podcast? You're very good at speaking in front of the camera, blah, blah, blah. So he's like, oh, I'm not sure if I'm ready. After a few months, we were doing his podcast. So he was able to be in front of his clients more often than nung before ako nag-start because lahat ng suggestions ko sinunod niya. As in value, value, value. Sa sobrang tuwa ni client, niregaluhan niya ako at ng mga anak ko ng trip to Singapore. After that, so sobrang happy niya kasi nag-shoot up daw yung revenue niya ng 60%. So one day, i-drive ko yung mga anak ko sa school, nagchat-chat siya sa Slack. I don't know if you know Slack. It's parang messenger siya pero sa work-related na chat platform. Sabi niya, Pam, if money is not an issue, where do you want to go? Sabi ko, ay gusto ng anak ko pumunta ng ng Korea. Ito yung time ng mga BTS, ng mga Korean pop star, mga ganyan. Sabi ko, gusto ko ng daughter ko sa Korea, gusto ng anak ko sa Japan. So siguro kahit saan doon. Sabi niya, would you want to know kung how much yung travel, yung accommodation, ganyan, ganyan. So ako napaisip ako, sabi ko, baka pupunta ng Manila 'to. Sabi ko, "Hoy, kung magta-travel ka ng Asia, baka naman puwede ka," siyempre in English, "Baka puwede ka naman sumegway ng Manila, kape tayo," sabi kong gano'n. Sabi niya, "No, you and your kids are going, I will pay for the fare and for the accommodation." Diyos ko, sobrang gusto kong matunaw, himatayin and all. Kasi sino bang gagawa nun sa'kin ng libre? Siyempre ako nang bahala dun sa pocket money, pero yung malalaking kailangan bayaran, airfare, accommodation. So hindi kami nakapunta ng Japan at saka ng Korea kasi may visa pa. So ang daming asikasuhin. So nagpunta kami ng Singapore, Universal Studios, at sobrang thankful ako doon kasi birthday yun ng anak ko. So tinaon ko ng birthday ng anak ko. So after nun, nakita ko yung ibinigay kong value sa kanya. So sobrang happy siya. Nung nag-ask na ako for increase, hindi na siya makahindi. Kasi nakita niya yung value ko, yung na-contribute ko. So siguro ipakita niyo muna yung ano yung mako-contribute niyo doon sa client. Be patient. Maghintay muna kasi para siyang business eh. You have to invest. So ang investment mo is yung time mo, at yung time mo lang talaga, time mo na ibibigay mo sa client and yung mindset mo na if company ko 'to, papaano ko siya palalaguin. So once magawa mo yon sa client, yung trust and loyalty ni client nasa sa'yo. Kaya 'pag nag-ask ka ng favor or especially ng increase, ibibigay yan sa'yo. Pakita mo muna.
Yeah, those are great. I'm just also gonna add. So it's that's completely, understandable when it comes to freelancing. And if you were a small business, I would definitely like that's like, yeah, it makes sense for you to prove, that you're worthy of the increase. And I know who's that client. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm gonna come from an employee's point of view, because we have, company's point of view, recruiter's point of view, and I am actually a remote employee. It means that I am actually really employed with a contract and everything, from my company who is Irish. So when you're dealing with an employment kind of mindset, it's more or less the same as what Rowena was saying. Like, you can open up that discussion. Like, I did it for myself. Like, for example, this is, let's just say, this is, you're okay with this offer. Like, thank you so much for this offer. I can work with this. um is there a possibility for us to make a discussion, in 6 months or in 1 year, to see my performance, and like, maybe, because I typically tell them that, well, that particular offer, this job, basically, I've already set my expectations, because they asked me, so what's your expectation of salary? And I said, it's this much, this much, and this much. And they said, okay, we can't get to that amount because it's beyond our budget, but we can work things out, offer you this and then add this and this and this. So I said, okay, I can work with that, but is it possible for us to open up the conversation like 12 months later and see if we can reach it to the amount that I want? Because I don't have to explain to them like why I want that amount, right? It's just, I want that amount. That's my, that's the value that I placed for myself. And they were very much okay. Like, they just said that we are a growing organization. We might not be able to afford that now, but granted that we work together, we will most likely, ideally, we would reach that, and we will be able to afford that amount that you want, right? So it's okay for you to bring that up during that conversation, especially if it's an employment situation wherein you're going to be tied to a company for a certain amount of time. So for us, when you sign in a a 12-month contract, or an open contract, wherein, am I going to be stuck with this amount for the rest of the time that I'll be working with you? No, you need to have to kind of get a feel, or that, just like what Rowena said, open up that discussion, right? Is this possible for us to revisit this later, and see how I perform, or even during the interview process, you can also like, how does the company have performance reviews? Because asking that would give you an idea that they do have performance reviews, and then after performance reviews, usually there is like an increase or bonuses or whatnot. It's a good telltale sign that they do those reviews because they want to award or reward the people that are working in their company. So that's just my take. So if you are gunning for remote employment and the interview is for that type of situation, it's okay for you to open up that discussion. I hope that answers your question, Owen. And ladies, we are 20 minutes over time. Thank you so much for staying over. There is one more question, which is Yan, and probably Pam will be able to answer this a lot better. I'm gonna ask this last question and we're gonna wrap things up. All right. So Yan was asking, in freelancing or consulting world, how often do you raise your rate while already working with a client? I guess Pam already kind of answered that more or less, right?
Mhm.
You need to go ahead and show value
Yeah,
first.
I think it's a right to ask for a raise every year. Pero it should depend on what you deliver. So I was confident when I asked for a raise na it will be granted because I saw the growth of the company. I saw how happy the client was. Pero if you know na struggling si client, this is, yung freelancing. If you know that the client is struggling and that yung effort mo isn't doing anything yet, then I guess you have to be patient and you have to wait for the right time. You will know when is the right time. If in the mood ba si client, pagkausap ka to talk about money, to talk about your salary. Malalaman mo yan based sa conversation nyo, and how, again, it's a skill. You can work on it over time, the way you communicate with the client. It's not like everyone is, para sa akin ha, natututunan naman yun. Depende kasi sa kausap mo on how you're gonna communicate itong sensitive issue to sa napag-usapan yung salary. Pero what I learned over the years, yung mga foreign clients, they don't get offended right away. Parang they'd rather you speak up, let them know what is a yes and a no to you. They would love you for that. Kasi if you keep on just saying yes, okay po sa akin yung ganitong rate lang, siyempre they are under the impression na, okay lang, sige, for 10 years ganito. Siyempre you have to speak up. And perfect timing yun. Lagi. Now, yun yung tingin ko, perfect timing. Kailangan may no-contribute ka muna bago ka mag-ask ng
Yeah.
raise.
Yeah. Like prove
Iba
yourself
yung,
first.
oo, iba yung situation when you're gonna get hired, kagaya nung kay June na sinasabi. If it's a big company na employee ka pero you're working remotely, usually yan stable and meron na talaga silang process when it comes to sa pay, sa salary. Pero when you're client to client freelancing gig, ang baseline niyan is ano yung value na na-contribute mo sa client.
Yeah, revenue of the
Yeah.
company too. And
Oo.
for the difference in, I guess, and Rowena, you can correct me about this, is that
Mm-mm.
most companies, if you're like, if they're hiring for an employee, they normally have a budget for the year already for that,
Yes.
right? Like that's why they said like, okay, this position is going to be for 35K, and that's because they already have 35K in the bank to pay
Yeah, oo.
that person, for the entire year. And then at the end of the year, the reason why they need to reevaluate is because, are we going to put in 35K again for this person, or
Mhm.
like, do we have a budget? Should we increase the budget? So we're giving you these information so that you know how it works behind the scenes, because probably you don't know this, you know, you don't know that
Yeah.
how companies operate, that this is how we plan out when we hire new people, that there's a lot
Yeah.
of things that goes on before that job listing goes up, and before the conversation of oh, I want an increase. Okay, that means, you know, if you want an increase, the 35K that I paid last year would be 40K this year. Do I have 40K? Right? It's not just, you know, it's not pennies. Those are big
Yeah,
numbers.
yeah, yeah.
So
At saka, and siguro if I may add, June, sorry, I know overtime na tayo, pero I think this is important din. Huwag niyong ibunton lahat sa isang client, yung mga bills na kailangan niyong bayaran. Kasi they also have a budget for everything. Ito is based from experience kasi I've worked with some freelancers na parang pati kasi you have to invest. You have to think na yung freelancing is a business. It's your business. You have to invest ng good, stable internet connection, a good working computer. There are some clients who would provide. Like for example, one of my project managers, I'm the one who provided yung laptop niya. Pero there are some clients as well na ikaw ang bahala dyan. Kasi kumbaga parang business mo yan. Dapat when you get into freelancing, dapat ready na yung tools mo. Pero may mga clients din na nagbibigay ng incentive. Like I experienced yung travel sa Singapore for free. I experienced the client giving me a budget kasi pag nag-uusap kami dati noon sa Skype, laging nagahang yung computer ko. So he's given me a gift para makabay ako ng much powerful computer. So there are clients na ganun. At saka yung, kumbaga parang mag-invest ka muna din sa sayo. If wala, then maybe makakahanap ka ng client na who will, pero mahirap sa freelancing pag wala kang laptop at internet na maayos. Kasi isa yon sa tinitingnan kapag nag-meeting kayo tapos naglalag ka, medyo mahirap yon. So mag-invest ka muna. Pero kung you're transitioning naman from office work to freelancing, so somehow mag-set aside ka na muna ng budget for good powerful na computer at stable connection. Yung connection naman dito natin sa Pilipinas, hindi na natin yun magagawa ng paraan na kasing bilis ng kay June at ng kay Miss Rowena, pero nagagawa niya ng paraan. Yung before ang ginawa ko, kasi nga single mom ako before, para lang meron akong feeling na 8-hour job din, I was working with 3 clients. So siguro yun yung perks ng pagiging freelancer. You don't have to stick with one client to provide all your needs. Pwede kang tatlo. I remember tatlo yung sa akin, isang 4 hours yata. Actually, nag-over pa pala ako, no? May 4 hours ako na client, may isa pang 4 hours, at saka may 3 hours ako na client. Lahat yon sabay-sabay. So I was able to provide for my kids, pay the rent and all the bills like that kasi may 3 clients ako. Pero wag niyong gagawin yon if hindi ka makaka-deliver sa lahat sa kanila. So make sure nagagawan mo siya ng proper schedule and alam ni client din na meron kang ibang clients para yung expectations din nila is maayos. So again, communication, negotiate. Ano yung expectations mo? Ano yung expectations ni client? Work around kung ano yung expectations. Ask for the right rate according sa value mo. Don't underestimate kung ano yung kaya mong i-deliver sa client. Huwag ka mag-hesitate sa price na gusto mo as long as alam mong makaka-deliver ka. At yun yung value mo. Yun.
yeah. Thank you so much for that, Pam. Rowena, do you have anything to add? Like I'm trying to close out. we're closing out, guys. So I would like to open up to Pam and to Rowena. Any closing remarks? So what are your tips? You know, like maybe there are some questions that they can ask when negotiating or before they accept a rate or the offer. What would be your tips? Like top few tips, maybe to the students.
Just first thing, by the way, I want to say thank you for this session. I learned as much about the industry that I just, listening to Pam and yourself and through the questions, I realized that, okay, this is skills economy, right? You are offering your skills. You are offering your skills,
Mhm.
and your skills is what is your entire professional life. And just when having all these conversations and talking of negotiations about contracts and rates and all those kind of things, everything is negotiable. Just do not under negotiate when it comes to values. The job is very, very hard. Whatever job it is, my job, everyone's job is very, very hard. And we might as well enjoy it. If we don't enjoy it, we won't perform well. If we don't perform well, we can't ask for raise. If we can't ask for raise, well, so it's a catch-22 situation, right? So do not, everything is negotiable, but do not under negotiate when it comes to values. That's how I would go. But and thank you for all the things that I learned from you guys today.
Yeah, I love that. Exactly. Like, if you're unhappy, if you've accepted an offer and right from the get-go you're already unhappy, that's just like, setting yourself up for failure. So, yeah. Pam.
Yon. Before anything else, June, thank you for inviting me. Thank you for this opportunity to share my stories and yung insight ko as a freelancer and as an employer. So siguro it's just yung mindset. Try to have a mindset na you're a freelancer and this is a business as well. Being a freelancer is your business because you are negotiating with a client, you are negotiating your rate, you are negotiating your time. So that this is a business that you need to grow. They said nga freelancer parang wala naman growth. Hindi. Ang napakadami ng growth. Just eto na lang, ako si June. We were a freelancer dito sa Philippines, pero look at where June is now, and I'm so proud of her for all of her accomplishments. Ako, I was able to start my own business, pero it's hard work. So invest sa business mo as a freelancer. Take a look at, always put yourself in your client's shoes. If that is your money, if that is your investment, if that is your business, how am I gonna run it? What am I gonna do to make it successful? And yun lang yung lagi kong iniisip every time meron akong client. I've got clients over the years. I've got a client na when I was a freelancer, na client ko na now, sa business ko na Great Work Online. He reached out to me kasi nakita niya ako, naging speaker ako, pinost ko sa Facebook. He reached out to me and he said, I need a VA. So client ko na siya for 2 years. So yung mga ganon, just show up every day. Even though hindi naman to the point na hindi ka naman na talaga makabangon to work. Pero always communicate with your client. I remember there's this one client na he said to me, the reason why he loved me so much is because even though he would message me and he's not expecting me to do the task at 11 p.m. my time, I would answer. Siyempre, a-answer ako if gising pa ako. Nasa US siya. Pero the fact na nagko-communicate ka and you show up every day, you tell your client, you're transparent, you're open, and you're honest, the trust and yung long-term client that you're looking for will be there lagi at makakakuha ka pa ng referral. That client that I've worked with for years when I started, he is now a referral partner ng business namin. So every time may matatapos siyang client, refer back to me as for the project management and other digital marketing services. Yun yung na-establish ko. So always think long term. Ngayon, oo, mahirap. You're investing, you're gathering experience, pero long term, ano yung magiging effect nun sa'yo? So, laging ganon. Rule of thumb nga, di ba? Turo ng tatay ko, wag mong gawin yung, ano ba yun? Yung wag mong, help me, Miss Rowena, June. Yung golden rule. Wag mong
Yeah.
gawin yung ayaw mong gawin ng iba sa'yo. Tama ba? Parang
Don't
ganon.
do
Oh,
it to others, do
don't
unto
do to others
yourself.
what you want others to do upon
Yes,
you.
yes.
Yeah.
Yun lang yun.
Exactly.
Yun yung bottom line, I think. kung gusto mo magkaroon ng magandang vibes and yung magandang karma sa'yo, kailangan may maibalik ka rin na maganda sa tao, hindi lang sa client. So, yun.
Yeah, completely
Thank you,
agree.
June. Thank you,
Yeah.
Miss Rowena. Thank you
Thank
sa
you.
inyong lahat.
I really, really appreciate everybody who's here, most especially Pam and Rowena, for, sharing your insights, sharing your experience and your knowledge. Like, this is something people would actually pay for. That's like this really valuable information that you have shared today. And I appreciate Rowena for staying late, and Pam for getting up so early, and everybody who's here. I want to close out. Yes, Pam.
Before pala tayo mag-go, I just want, if it's okay, we are
Yes.
hiring right
Oh,
now
see? Oh my
for
God, right?
um, we're
Yeah.
hiring for someone who can do phone calls sa US. Yun nga lang, US time. So if this is not in your guidelines sa mga yes and no mo na
Mhm.
options, so
Yeah.
kung okay sa inyo magtawag in the middle of the night ng mga 2, 3 a.m. ganyan, or maybe mga 4 or 5 a.m. or midnight, kasi syempre magva-varies tayo, aalamin namin kung ano yung best time to call yung clients namin. It's not a sales call. It is more of like a lead generation, confirming and getting some bookings for our clients. If you're interested and you have the experience ng outbound calls, send me an email. I'm gonna put my email address here so that you can send your resume. You can also go to our website, www.greatworkonline.com. Meron kami dong join our team. You can fill out the form and send your resume. And then just say siguro doon sa notes, one of the fields there na you've met me dito sa event ni June, so that I can personally take care of your application.
Right. That's amazing. Thank you so much for that, Pam. Right. Well, I don't need to promote Microsoft. Microsoft's always hiring. It's amazing. But but yes, there's a lot of job opportunities out there. So, please do apply to them. Get access to remote jobs. To wrap things up. So this session is our last session for the coaching week, and this week, Tuesday onwards, we are going to be starting our mentorship week. And so for your first mentor, it's going to be Marjorie from Automatic. So Automatic, you might have heard of them already. Automatic is the people behind WordPress, Jetpack, and all of the other nice things, with when it comes to website development. And Marjorie is there. Oh my God, Marjorie's gonna kill me because I forgot her position, but she's in marketing. She's the director of growth. Director of growth and research and development for Automatic. So she has a lot of marketing background, and she's Filipina. She is in Colorado. I think Monica, who is also their VP of marketing, also. Is going to be joining us, but I know Marjorie confirmed already, so she's going to be doing the mentorship call tomorrow, so you can ask her anything about marketing, right? So I want you guys to be there. It's going to be at 5 p.m. Philippine Standard Time, and get ready with your questions. We're going to be doing breakout sessions during that time as well. So I am going to go ahead and wrap up the call. Thank you so much, everybody. And please do fill out the form for our survey. We're going to be sharing that with Rowena and with Pam as well. And then I am going to go head out. We are going to head out. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, everyone.